And just one more time, I'll say hi everyone. I'm Ida. I am with Advent Health Daytona Beach, and I'm the community outreach representative. So I get the pleasure to work with Sean and the Daytona Beach Seventh-day Adventist Church to put on health and wellness events like this. So this is now, I don't know, maybe our fifth or so virtual seminar. So we're super excited and still getting used to it. So thanks for working with us, everyone. But I will give the reins to Sean now, and she will present for us tonight.
All right, well, we're glad to have you here. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and the first Creation Life acronym letter we're going to start with is REST. And Ida, just give me the, acknowledgement that you see my screen.
We see it, and I see you're going into presentation mode, right? There we go.
Right.
We see your screen.
Okay, let me just, I had it all the way at the end. Okay, all right.
Close your eyes.
That was a blur. I'm a registered dietitian, and I have really enjoyed becoming familiar and promoting Creation Life. And we always are interested to present wellness, lifestyle principles. I like the way Creation Health is because it starts with the letter C, and it doesn't matter what order you put the rest of them in, but as long as we know it starts with C. So just a really quick, I'm a mother, and a wife, my husband, my son, Jason, and his wife is over on the far right, and my daughter, who has the heart on her belly, is pregnant now. She's due in April. So we're going to be first-time grandparents, and her husband is right behind her, the tall guy. So these are the family important in my life, and of course I've got some friends and other people that are special to me, but they are my joy. So we did talk on Tuesday, and the letters C and T were covered. C for choice, T for trust. And we talked about the importance of not just thinking about what we want to do to improve our lifestyle through wellness, but actually writing things down, planning to take action so that we can intentionally make progress. So I hope you did, if you attended on Tuesday, think about some choices, some issues with trust, like forgiveness, appreciating and gratitude towards God, whatever it is that's going to help him build trust. So now that we're here tonight, going to be reviewing rest and nutrition, I want you to also keep some goals in mind. If you see slides that you like, take a quick picture of them. I want you to think about what you want to do, plan it so that you can take action. So rest, this is such an important one. Rest is so underestimated. And what we know scientifically is that sleep is so vital to health. It's almost equivalent and as essential as exercise and nutrition. And I think, I don't know, that was a little surprising to me, which goes to show that even I sometimes, I think, have underestimated the power of sleep. But it is essential. So 30 to 40% of people are sleep deprived, less than 6 hours per night. And just for those of us who are aging, aging is magnified and accelerated by sleep deprivation. And it's one of the key things that affect our fat burning capability and age us. So sleep is extremely important. How many of us have had nights like this, like 1 a.m. in the morning, we're looking at the clock and can't fall asleep, 3 a.m., you're thinking, how can I, be energized for tomorrow? And you got to drink lots of coffee. And then 5 a.m., you're thinking, I just need to call sick. Sometimes that's how we feel. And we want to be able to prevent that kind of evening sleep. We're all at different ages in our life, and sleep is important to every single age. And I'm going to be dealing with the newborn as a new Grammy soon, and they need 14 to 17 hours of sleep, and they sleep a lot. And as we age and mature, we need less sleep, but really all of us adults need in the range of 7 to 8 hours. So this is, please don't underestimate the power of sleep. Make sure that we are trying to get the 7 to 8 hours in each night. There's a early bird payoff. I don't know if you ever heard the saying like this. I heard it early in my life. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And there's science behind it. And they have found that when you deprive people of sleep from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m., there is a 30% drop in their immune function. But when subjects are deprived of sleep from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., the drop in immune function is even greater. It goes up to 50% of their immune function drops. So the early to bed hours are really the big payoff hours. And of course, the hours of 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. are important, but getting to bed in the early part of the night is very, very critical to our health and our immune system. So trying to get up to 3 hours of sleep before midnight, that means maybe a 9 o'clock, bedtime, but no later than 10 is a recommendation for people who are not, working a night shift type lifestyle. I'm a little warm in here, so I'm taking my sweater off. There are, when we're sleeping, stages of sleep, and all of us go through these stages, and they last about 90 to 120 minutes. And of course, going into sleep, we have this light transitional sleep stage where we're feeling drowsy and we start to fall asleep easily. And then in the stage 2, we are more stable in our sleep. Our senses, and we're producing chemicals that are taking us into the deeper sleep stage. And in stage 3, we actually go into deeper sleep. And this is the real powerful sleep, because that's when growth hormone is released. And growth hormone is very, very important to help keeping us healthy and replacing aging cells. It just keeps us very, very healthy. And deep sleep is where we get our growth hormone boost, especially as adults. And then there's a stage that many of us may have heard of. It's called REM, rapid eye movement sleep. And that's where our memory is being revitalized. The things that happen to us during the day are getting filed and stored in our minds. And this cycle happens 4 to 6 times during the night. And this is an example from a Fitbit. I like to wear a Fitbit, and I've worn it for years, different versions of it. And I can look up sleep stages through the night. And you can see the different stages of sleep when you're awake, when you have REM, when you're in light sleep, when you're in deep sleep. And so that's kind of one of the benefits that you can get with some of your smartphones. And you can learn a lot about your sleep stages. If you notice the little red lines where they're very faint, that means that we were moving around and the Fitbit registered like I was moving. I probably didn't even really wake up to register those. The more solid red, I probably woke up. But this is an example that shows that we go through different stages of sleep, and they're all important for different reasons. So when in the awake stage, we are awake 10 to 30 times a night. Some of them we don't even realize, and they're too short, and we just sort of move around and then fall back into a deeper sleep. The REM sleep occurs later at night, and it's really important for our memories and our mood. When we have our REM sleep, things that happen to us that we hope to be able to remember, that REM sleep is like a big filing system, a big backup system. It's going on in our head, and it's improving things and moving things into deeper memory so we can recall them. So during this stage, we have dreams that are more vivid, our heart rate may be a little higher, and our breathing is a little faster than our deeper sleep stage. Even light sleep is very important, and it's usually the biggest percentage of our sleep cycle. And it really helps with repair, promoting mental and physical restoration. It's important. The deep sleep is a deeper level of sleep. The physical recovery is greater. It definitely improves our memory and learning. And if you ever wake up in the morning and you feel great, like, wow, I had a really good night's sleep, you probably had more deep sleep than normal. So it's just important to help our bodies and our minds be able to get the sleep that they need. And, this whole issue of sleep is extremely important. Don't forget to go to bed earlier than later. What happens when we have inadequate sleep? Well, it leads to chronic diseases. If we are in chronic sleep deprivation, then we have earlier onset and an increased risk and severity of diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, obesity, coronary heart disease. So inadequate sleep is something that really should be important for us to look at how we can improve that. One of sleep's major impacts is on our hormones, and hormones rule. They are the chemical messengers in our body, and we are always under the influence of hormones. Nothing happens in our body that hasn't been given a hormone signal or a nerve signal, and they affect our appetite. The ghrelin and leptin are appetite signaling hormones, and sleep restriction actually boosts ghrelin, which triggers hunger pains. And I remember ghrelin, it's like, I'm so hungry, I'm so angry. Ghrelin is the one that gets us really hungry. And then leptin is the one that helps us feel full and recognize that we really don't need or want to eat more. And so if we have enough sleep, it helps lower the hormones that would help us be able to control our appetite better. We need to know that sleep is definitely a hormonal reset, not just for hunger hormones, but also insulin, cortisol, melatonin, and these growth hormone and such. So it's very, very impacts even to that level. Growth hormone is something that we should all be wanting more of. And if there's a way that we can improve it and increase it, it's through getting better quality sleep. So growth hormone helps replace our sick and aging cells. And that helps us keep, our health and vigor longer, helps to slow down the aging process. So growth hormone gets secreted in those deeper sleep cycles. So how do you get a good day's sleep? Well, it doesn't just start at night when you want to go to bed. It starts actually first thing in the morning. You want to get plenty of sunlight in your eyes because that sunlight helps reset your melatonin. You want to get the fresh air, physical activity, and eat a light supper. If we go to bed with a big meal, your mind is saying, I should be able to sleep, but your body, your gastrointestinal tract is saying, you are making me work the night shift, and how can you try and sleep while we're slaving away, trying to digest all that food you gave us? So eating lighter in the evening is a huge advantage to getting a good sleep. and being consistent even on the weekends. I can remember when I was younger, I'd go to bed like Sunday night through Friday night at a pretty good time, but then I'd stay up late Saturday night and watch movies late. And I used to be able to bounce back Sunday mornings pretty good. And then it got to be the older I got, if I stayed up late on Saturday, I felt terrible on Sunday. And now I pretty much go to bed the same time, 7 days a week, because it just helps me sleep better. And number 6 is real important. As much as possible, resolving conflict and leave stress and worry and anxiety outside the bedroom. Deal with it during the day. Don't go to bed angry, because it will negatively affect our sleep. How about napping? Is napping good or bad? I come from a family of professional nappers. Everybody in my family can take a power nap except me. For so many years, I just never wanted to nap. I either slept way too long, woke up groggy, or I felt like I was always missing something. And I would see everybody else go get a nap, and I didn't. And then, in the last few years, I've been finding that I may not go to my bed to take a power nap, but I certainly seem to fall asleep for short periods of time in my recliner. And when I wake up from that, I feel pretty good sometimes. So napping, is it good or bad for your health? Let's see. So when you're recovering from fatigue, you're very tired, a 15 to 20-minute nap can be ideal, and it can be beneficial. So it has its purpose. If you're giving yourself a longer nap, like 90 minutes to 120 minutes, like an hour and a half to 2 hours, you may actually fall into more of a sleep cycle. And sometimes that can make you less tired for when you go to bed at night, or possibly it may be what you needed. I know that when I've had the longer cycles of nap of 90 to 120 minutes, usually for me, they felt good while I was having them, but when I woke up, I felt more groggy, and then I wasn't as tired at night. The further along you get into your sleep cycle when you're napping, so those longer naps, the further along you get into it, you can get into those deeper sleep cycles, which is what causes that grogginess. And when you first wake up, it's like you're just this kind of sleep zombie coming out of it. And it passes, but it's because the nap was a longer one. Many people do have sleep disorders. Certainly stress and anxiety, depression are a key issue. Caffeine. People who drink a lot of caffeine products can find that their sleep is disrupted. And then I have people who say, I can drink a coffee at night and it doesn't bother me. And it may be because they drink so much that it's always at a consistent level. So they're able to sleep because they're used to that level. Alcohol, medications, allergies, respiratory problems, getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom is super common sleep disruptor. And people who have chronic pain, sadly, are going to have more sleep disruption. So there's a lot of things that can disrupt our sleep, and we need to figure out how we can counter those. So here's the ideas for creating the best sleep environment. The room has to be dark as possible. If there's lights from the AC pad or the smoke detector light, in the middle of the night when you open your eyes and you give yourself a few seconds to accustom your eyes to the dark, it's surprising how bright some of these little tiny lights actually are. So try to keep your room dark. Try to minimize any of these lights. It needs to be quiet. The room should be quiet. And if you need to have it cooler, the cooler the temperature at night when you're sleeping tends to help our bodies sink into the sleep cycles better. Avoiding the computer screen and TV screen. The blue light disrupts the melatonin. So melatonin is the sleep hormone, and what we get in our computers and our TVs, that blue light diminishes the melatonin that your body's producing to try to get us to be able to go to bed. And I hope you've heard about those electromagnetic fields, how don't charge your phone, don't have your phone within 3 feet of your head. Ideally, charge your phone in another room. Try to not have your electronic devices in your room near your head. Having a shower, Epsom salts are magnesium sulfate. They're extremely relaxing to your body and your muscles, so they help you can fall asleep well. And wear earplugs. If you sleep or have noises around you and there's sounds that keep you awake, earplugs are a great way to diminish that. And don't forget, they have some great eye masks now that I have an eye mask. It kind of is a little molded so that it cups over your eyes so that your eyelashes aren't smushed down to your head. But the eye mask helps keep your room dark because it blocks out all of the light, and it's very effective. And if you need to wear your eye mask, put your mouth guard in, stick your earplugs in, and that's going to help get good sleep, do it because it's worth it. There are other things that we can do that are sleep inducers. Essential oils and aromatherapy like lavender or lavender combinations are really relaxing and sleep inducing. Some supplements are also can be beneficial. You can if you eat carbohydrates, some carbohydrates at dinner, it's going to increase your tryptophan and serotonin foods, which are your happy, relaxing foods. But a lighter dinner, not a super heavy dinner, is the recommendation. Magnesium is a great relaxer. Some of the sleep teas or sleep supplements will contain magnesium, passion fruit, passion flower, valerian. Those things can be helpful. And melatonin supplements can be helpful. Just make sure you're reading the instructions. Those things you don't want to take more than necessary, because then especially like melatonin, if you're taking it a lot through a supplement, then you're sort of telling your body you don't need to produce as much. I think it's better to let our bodies produce those things and just supplement them lightly, and use things like aromatherapy is a great way to help us find a really nice sleep inducing. Rituals are important, let alone things like this. Now, there's different kinds of rest. We've talked about going to bed at night and getting your 7 to 8 hours. We've talked about a nap. It can be important. But what about mental rest? How do we have mental rest? You can get it by taking that power nap is a way. Mental breaks, which are if you're working on something that's very detailed, very intense, go take a walk or go look at something or do something that is completely different. And that gives your mind a break from the intense detail by looking at or doing something that may be a little more creative. It just breaks it up. And then when you go back to that detail intense work, you're going to find you can concentrate more, and that you actually have more attentiveness and creativity. Prayer is a great mental break. It's very calming. It's very affirming. Visiting with someone, if you're going to work for 50 minutes or 55 minutes, take a 5-minute break, go to the water cooler, go take a lap. If you're in your home, which many people are working from their homes now, do the same thing. Just go do something else in another room, take a walk the dog for a short walk, and then come back. It'll just kind of reset your mind and reinvigorate your mental capacity. And focus on gratitude. Gratitude is just such a positive, uplifting, refreshing way to take a mental break. Thinking about things you're grateful for, thinking about how you can not only benefit from this yourself, but how you might be able to help provide something for another person that would give them a gratitude opportunity as well. So mental rest is very important. How else can we get that? Massages. There are times when maybe we can't go out and get the nice massage in a spa. And of course, with COVID, maybe that is not happening as much, or it's just maybe starting now, but you can do some of self-massage, your own oils, your lotions that smell so nice, essential oils that we can wear as perfume even. But there are things that we can do for self-massage, laughing. I love GIFs. It's so funny. Sometimes when I'm sending a text and I use a GIF, I get so caught up in how funny some of these GIFs are. I'll take 5 minutes and I'm just laughing at all of these GIFs I see. Anything that helps us laugh and feel the humor is good. And slow, deep breaths. I know that when they taught me Lamaze years ago when I had my 2 kids, I still use those Lamaze techniques, which are slow, deep breaths. And that just is very relaxing, very calming. It helps eliminate and bring down the stress hormones, and it helps us be able to relax. How important is an annual vacation, or the smaller vacations if you break it up? A study of 12,000 men found that their annual vacations were associated with reduced risk of all-cause mortality. Isn't that interesting? It pays to take time off. It pays to take a vacation, even if it's a staycation. A vacation or a staycation, which many people are doing with COVID, staycations can be very important. But vacations and time off is a critical form of rest. And how about spiritual rest? There is a form of rest for our spirits that's important too. So rest was created by God right at the beginning in the Christian context, and we can get our spiritual rest when we realize and make a point that we can have a relationship with God. That's a priority. We can get wisdom, guidance. We can be less stressed. It reduces anxiety and worry, and it increases creativity and judgment and problem solving. So prayer is a great way. Music. If I'm resting, music that's calming and uplifting is really important and can be a part of this. So this is a wonderful text. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I like the fact that I can take my joys to God. I can take my worries to Him, and I feel good that There's somebody bigger and more powerful than me that can help me with my life and the things in my life that I find difficult to handle. So with spiritual rest, take breaks from the mundane, repetitive work and got to get all of this done. And I'm always got things to do. Sometimes it's just extremely healthy, extremely beneficial when we take a break from that and we devote time not to work and not to doing things, but to looking after our spirit, looking after our relationships with our family and with God and others. It's very important. So we were given rest at creation. When God created rest, it wasn't because people were tired or he was tired. He did it because he knew that humans and we would need to incorporate rest. And so he did create that. He created it so that our bodies could rest, but we could give our minds and spirits a rest as well, 1 day a week. So he rested from his work with man, he blessed it, and he said, this is really good. If you believe in creation, which I do, the creator knew what was best, so he gave his creatures rest. And it's so important to our health. So the questions to be thinking about are, do we get enough sleep time? Do you get enough personal time, family time, vacation time, time with God? Are the quality of these times, how are they enhancing our lives? So I wanted to give us an opportunity to, talk a little bit about rest. If you have any questions and any comments about your experience with rest or lack of rest, and what maybe you would be considering as steps that you can take to improve the quality of rest in your life. I didn't know if anybody wanted to comment on that. We'll give a minute here to see if anybody wants to comment.
Or even type in the chat.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I can start us off.
Okay.
One thing that has really helped me get a better night's rest. I'm a clean person. I do shower daily, clearly, but I've been taking a lukewarm shower every night right before bed, and kind of like that starts my wind down process where I then put my lotions and my creams and just really get ready for bed. Before I would just kind of hop in bed and I was uncomfortable and all of that. So now I really get into a comfortable state, and that has helped me fall asleep much better and get a better night's rest.
I like that. I think what you just described is really important. You have a bedtime ritual that tells your mind, your body, and your spirit, I'm getting ready to put you to bed, and these are the things that I do. Those are very positive rituals, and they are contributing to your body's ability to relax and enjoy a good sleep. So that's great. Great example.
We have in the chat, Beverly asked about what about snoring? And Teresa asked you or your spouse? And she responded back saying, me. Family says I sound like a train. Beverly, I totally understand. But do you have any insight on snoring, Sean?
Well, I know, we never think we snore. I don't think I snore. So I'll talk about the other people who snore. I know I wear earplugs, and I try to minimize the noise through earplugs. The times that I can tell I'm probably have been snoring is when I wake up, my mouth's open and my mouth is dry because I'm mouth breathing. You're probably going to have been snoring. And rolling onto your side helps. It depends how severe it is. If it's just, a little bit of snoring, or is it all the way to needing a doctor to evaluate you through sleep studies. I do a lot of reading, and I have come across they have mouth tape that can be used at night. I had actually bought a little box of these little mouth strips that are adhesive that you just put them on your dry lips, and it helps you keep your mouth closed at night, so that if you do roll on your back and your mouth would naturally fall open, you're going to go into mouth breathing, which will possibly be snoring. It'll dry out your mouth. So you can prevent that through some of these things that you can experiment with. So it really sort of depends where you think you fall in the continuum of, snoring to sleep apnea, and when you think you may need to experiment versus seek some medical treatment through your doctor for that. I would encourage, I think sleep aids, prescription sleep aids, and over-the-counter sleep aids, as much as possible, try to give your body the opportunity to go to sleep with as few of those, pharmaceuticals that you can, just because I think there's benefit to them, but there also can be, we become dependent on them, or we need higher doses of them. As much as we can encourage our body through good habits and relaxation techniques and rituals, I think is healthier.
Then I'll ask another question to the group. If you do have a weekly day off, what can you do to help ensure that you don't allow work stresses to ruin it? What kind of defenses can you set up around it? So I find that is difficult, on the weekends and I'm off work, I will still find myself thinking about this and that, and it's hard to turn it off, but you need to in order to have a well-balanced life.
So setting up some boundaries, especially if you do any working from home.
Especially now more than ever.
It can be hard to have the boundaries of, this is work, and now I'm moving into, this is my personal life now. And things can go through your head a lot, which can be very disrupting to rest. So I'm a big believer that write it down. If you know that if your mind knows that you've captured it by making a note or writing it down, then your mind will relax and you can fall asleep. Sorry, I'm looking. So if I forget things, then I was trying to remember them, then my mind keeps going and going. So write the note and then leave it alone, and you can pick it up then tomorrow, because you can follow up with it then.
That's a good point. Does anyone else have any suggestions of what they do to help turn off their work minds? And I can ask the group one more question. What are some Bible promises or spiritual practices that you have found helpful in calming your nerves and relieving anxiety? This is another thing I do struggle with, and I could use all the motivation. This is a tougher question. It's harder to put. You need time to think it through.
I have, like there's times that when you go to bed, you may be restless, or you just know, I really need to be in bed and I hope I fall asleep. And sometimes we can get ourselves tense, like, come on now, I need to fall asleep, but I can't. There are times like that if I'm, something is bothering me and I wake up and I'm trying to fall asleep, I will, a couple of techniques. I pull up little video clips I have in my head that are super relaxation. It's almost like a visualization of me in a big inner tube floating down the river, the lazy river. And I just picture all of the things about floating down the lazy river. And it's just so gentle, and the breeze. And so, I'm telling myself a story. I'm trying to watch my home movie in my head. Other things that I do is, some of my favorite hymns, that, like I'll just sort of sing to myself in my mind. And it's slow, they're meaningful, and I fall asleep. I don't even know when I finished, I just fall asleep. Or, saying prayers. I'll fall asleep saying prayers. Sorry, God, but I was saying prayers and I fell asleep, and it was good. So if you have a special poem or a special scripture, those are things that we can use to quietly and slowly and rhythmically say to ourselves, so that they're very calming to our mind. And before you know it, you drift off. Even counting backwards, from 100, and just slowly, rhythmically, you will, you may fall asleep. I don't know how far down you'll get, if it's going to take a lot of numbers or not. But we can't be focusing on what's bothering us, because that becomes magnified. We have to kind of distract our mind from those troublesome things to let our body be able to relax.
Thank you. Super helpful.
Okay, so did you want me now to go into the nutrition one?
Shall we shift gears? Yes, for sure.
Okay, so in order to do that, I need to stop sharing the screen, and then switch. So let me do that.
Just giving everyone a heads up, we are in for a treat, because as amazing as the rest presentation was, Sean is highly skilled and experienced in nutrition. So I always enjoyed listening to her share her expertise.
So let's see here, Zoom talk. Which one was that? Okay, it's the other one. All right, do you see it now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so let me get back in there, and I'm going to do share screen, and this is the one. Share.
There we go.
All right, and now we're going to play. Okay, so this is what I went to school for as a dietitian, and I love the creation acronym. It starts with choice, it ends with nutrition, and everything in between. And nutrition is what we need for fuel, but not just fuel. It's for just enjoyment and it's a positive thing all the way around. So based on Creation Health, we go back that this was right from the very beginning. We were given wonderful food, and one of the things that I think is real important for us to understand is if we don't make time for health and healthy eating, we will have to make time for illness and doctor's visits. So if we don't put the time in proactively, we're going to put it in reactively by having to deal with the consequences of poor choices. So this is, in a nutshell, what I like to summarize and kind of put in a nutshell for people. If you want to take a picture of the screen, take a picture. This is how I define whole food, plant-based nutrition. And I use the green, red, yellow. The green is what we maximize. The moderate is our yellow light foods. And our red is our red light eliminate foods. So we're going to create
I think we may be having some technical difficulties, so wait a second to see if
a healthier lifestyle for natural fiber.
Hi.
We're going to get, pardon me?
Hey, so sorry to interrupt you. I'm not sure if anyone else experienced, I think we might have lost you for like not 2 minutes, but a minute there. If you wouldn't mind, I don't know if anyone else, if you guys can let me know, type it in the chat, or if it was just me.
Slide do I need to go back?
Go one more back. I think if you could just go to the green light, red light. I know that was, yeah. I think we heard up to maximize, so maybe.
Okay. So I wanted, that's okay. Thank you for alerting me. Yeah. The yellow light foods are the moderate food category, and the red light foods are the ones that we should work towards minimizing and eliminating. The basis of this whole thing is eating whole plant food. Our whole, the majority of our choices should be whole plant food. That is where the science is. That is where the fiber, the nutraceuticals, vitamins, minerals are packed in whole plant food. And the reason that fiber is so important is it's important. It's only found in the plant world. We eat fiber only from plants. There is no fiber in animal products. And so the fiber is generally two categories: soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. And things that have the citrus pectin, oat bran, barley, beans, strawberries, they have a lot of good soluble fiber in them. And then the whole grains, vegetables, wheat bran, that is insoluble fiber. And our body needs both. And in order to have a healthy body, we need the fiber for, it'll taste good. It provides, chewing and crunch factor and fill factor, but it also has the elimination factor, which is real important as well, because what goes in needs to come out. So dietary fiber, typically North Americans are only getting 10 to 15 grams of fiber per day. And the recommended is over 35. I mean, if you should be shooting to get 35 grams of fiber a day or more. And it is relatively easy to do if you make whole food, plant-based choices. The benefits of fiber is extremely good. Like I said, it starts in your mouth. It's the crunch, it's the feel, it's the fullness in your stomach. And then it also helps the bowels to move, and it's very cancer preventing, prevents diabetes and heart disease through many different mechanisms. Fiber is very important. So when you eat whole vegetables, you want to eat whole vegetables or mechanically processed foods. So what I mean by that is, for example, canned tomatoes. Most of us are going to have canned tomatoes in our pantries. So they're either going to be diced or whole, and that's what's called a mechanically processed food. It isn't like the full-blown manufactured process. It's been peeled, it's been cut or chopped and put in a can or a bottle. And eat as much of these whole vegetables as you want, but emphasize trying to get green leafy vegetables daily and cruciferous. Those are two very important types of vegetables to be getting frequently. Whole fruit, same thing. Whole fruit. The lower sugar choices are going to be berries, green apples. Emphasize that you can have fresh, raw fruit. Don't drink the juice. Really, that's just like food crack, because it's just fruit sugar with some nice fruit flavoring, and we would be better off to have the whole fruit, because we're going to get the fiber. There is no fiber in juice. Cruciferous vegetables, I mentioned, these are very powerful in detoxifying the chemicals and such that we breathe and we ingest. They help boost the immune system. They're used in a lot of key immune and detox processes in our body. And so the cruciferous vegetables are very important. This is the power that we get from fruits and vegetables, is they have nutraceuticals, they have all of these antioxidants in them, and so they can literally save lives. They estimate that 2.7 plus lives could be saved annually if people would eat sufficient fruit and vegetables, and that 20% of cancer is preventable by consuming 5 servings of fruit. And a serving of fruit and vegetable is not a whole big apple. A whole big apple would be about two to 3 servings, because some of the apples that I've seen in Publix are huge. So those are at least a 2-serving apple. The bananas that are really big are a 2-serving banana. So it's not unreasonable. And of course, there's a lot of stroke protection, heart protection from fruits and vegetables. Here's a list of cruciferous vegetables. It's your cabbage family, your broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, radishes, arugula. These are really good sources of the cruciferous vegetables. They're great cooked, they're great raw. Either way, they're going to be extremely nutritious. One of my favorite foods is beans and legumes. So they're a great source of protein, but they're a great source of fiber. A lot of antioxidants. Beans and legumes help stabilize blood glucose and insulin. They reduce the risks of cancers. And the blue zone people who are the centenarians in the 5 blue zones around the world all had beans and legumes as a staple in their diets. So these are definitely superfoods. 100% whole grains. All these whole grains, they need to be 100%. They're not essential. There are many people who have weight problems, overweight to obese, and maybe there may be a reason to trim back some of the carbs, But if you're going to have carbs, you want to have them as the whole grains. And so if they're intact, broken, or rolled, those are the better choices. And an easy example are oats. You can have the steel cut oats are very whole, they're closer to the whole grain. A rolled oat is the next best choice. And then the quick oats, those ones have been processed more. And so in terms of how they affect our blood sugar, for instance, your steel cut oats won't cause your blood sugar to rise as fast. Your rolled oats will not cause your blood sugar to rise as fast as the quick oats because of the processing. Sprouted grains are very, very good choices as well. Your plate together for your meals should have color. Nutraceuticals and spices, things that are dried herbs and spices or fresh herbs and spices, flaxseed, chia seed, hemp seed, these are health additives and super nutrients. So eat those regularly. Drink a lot of water. We tend to actually consume less water than we need. Many of us have a level of mild dehydration, and so we need to drink more water. And drinking coffee, drinking tea, drinking bottled or canned beverages, it may be a fluid, but it doesn't take the place of water. So those were the things that we want to maximize. And just looking down the list, I've got the G bombs on there. That's another acronym that's really a good one to remember. Greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. Those make, those are superfoods. We should be trying to eat these daily. That would be a good goal. And try to remember that G bombs because they're very powerful. So let's look at the yellow light foods to be moderate with. Now, how many of you have heard, well, everything in moderation is okay? Well, it isn't. Everything in moderation is actually terrible advice. And it's because it's arbitrary, it's subjective. That's the fundamental flaw in that saying. And with moderation, my moderation is different than your moderation is different than your moderation. And really, it actually becomes permission to eat anything, anytime. And I really like that comic there, how unpleasant truth. Nobody's in that line to hear the unpleasant truth, but a lot of us are lining up to hear all these comforting lies that make us feel good. And they're really not true. So don't do everything in moderation. You have a list and reasons to look at what to maximize in the green light, what to be moderate in the yellow light, and what to avoid in the red light. So the high whole fat foods, the high whole fat foods are nuts and olives, avocado, coconut. These are healthy foods, but they are concentrated calories. So we need to be a bit careful with how much we're consuming. It is a very good practice to have 1 to 2 ounces of nuts each day. People who do that have lower incidence of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. So nuts of all kinds, certainly walnuts, almonds, cashews, pistachios, and then your seeds are going to be chia, flax, sesame, hemp. Those are really healthy for us to have, but in moderate amounts. Sodium and salt, we need to be moderate with them. If you're going to use salt, use the real salt, the pink Himalayan type salt. Don't use the white salt from the Morton's box that has been chemically and mechanically processed. And you are really just not getting the benefit from that. And the salty canned foods and packaged foods are something we have to be moderate with and really look at how much processing these have gone through. So if you want to lower salt and sodium, you can increase the flavor with herbs and spices, stronger tangy things like lemons or vinegars, and some heat, some red pepper flakes, some peppers. That the heat helps us counterbalance the need for salt. Portion size is used. We should try to be moderate with our portion. But the really good news is if you eat a whole food plant-based diet where you really are trying to get your plant food in, you can have a full plate and make 75% of your plate plant food. So you're going to have lots of options to fill 75% of your plate with plant food. And the other 25% can be something that if you really need it, but have it in that small quantity. So watch our portions, use smaller plates, chew slowly. That really makes a big difference, is chewing slowly. And if you have solid food, chew it until it's liquid. If you're drinking liquid food like a shake, a smoothie, then you want to chew your liquids. And you can do that by adding flaxseed in there or hemp seed, something that's going to be something that tells your mouth to start chewing that up with your liquids. So what's the bad news? Well, I want you to know that this is like the inconvenient truth line. Why do we need to cover this list of eliminate? Is because I really want you to know the truth. And I think if people know the truth, they know and have had it told to them, then they make a better decision. So that's why I wanted to mention that before we go into the eliminate list. I really don't think we can treat our bodies like a garbage disposal. We cannot put whatever we want into our mouth and expect that it's not going to have an impact on our body. Everything we eat and drink has an immediate impact on our body, on our hormones, on our mood. It's immediate. And to put whatever we want in there has consequences. And that's where the eliminate the red light foods are. We know the unhealthy relationship of animal products to heart disease, to cancer, to diabetes. Processed food is full of chemicals. There's no fiber in it. It's highly concentrated chemicals and sugar and oils and salt to make it taste good so that we want to keep eating more of it. Caffeine can be damaging to our bodies. Alcohol is damaging to our bodies. GMOs are everywhere. And we are seeing a lot more allergies and intolerances that people are having to foods in the food chain. Grilling and having high temp cooking creates cancer causing products in them. So there's a lot of reasons and there's a lot of science between each of these that I'm not covering that in detail tonight, but I think for the most part, it's not uncommon knowledge to know that these can be problematic for people. So those ones I recommend beginning to minimize them, to work to eliminate things on this list, on the red foods. It really is true that one meal makes a big difference. One meal. What you and I eat and drink next is going to have an immediate impact on our blood chemistry, our hormonal response. And when we eat in the red zone, which is animal-based, highly processed diet, we're going to have increased disease. The more that we move to the green zone, the more that we include more whole food, plant-based nutrition, we start to benefit from the effects of that, and we can experience disease prevention and reversal even. So if we think about changes that we want to make, minimum changes will get minimum results. Maximum changes get maximum results, but you want to really think about which changes can make sense for you, that you can do, that you feel is going to give you a good result, and that you can sustain. We don't want to change everything at one time. It's not realistic. And really, the best strategy is the one of add healthy things into your diet. Don't focus on eliminating all the bad things. Focus first on adding good things into your diet. And before you know it, adding those good things start to crowd out some of the other things that are less healthy. So having that power of adding is really important, and it'll help keep us more interested in staying with those choices. So we all need a paradigm shift at times. We kind of have to get out of an old mindset and get into a new mindset. And I wanted us to really look at eating and drinking as a gift and a sacred responsibility and a sacred work. We're looking after our bodies. Our bodies are so important. Let's consider the kitchen as the heart of the home that supports the life in the home. That healthy food preparation and service is a gift of love versus work and drudgery. And that healthy food preparation is a high calling and worthy of excellence. And it's a gift of love. It's a gift of health to yourself. And if you have people in your homes or in your life that depend on you to buy and prepare food, it's a gift of love and health for them as well. It really is a high calling. So let's see what the Zoom talk, if there's any questions in the Zoom talk for us to cover.
Yeah, does anyone have questions? Thoughts? We covered a lot. Anything specific to the red light, green light, yellow light? Right, I have some for us. And please interrupt me if you guys do have a question, but
did I unfreeze? I see a couple of comments about
that was earlier.
Okay, yeah.
So one question is, what are some practical ways to get yourself into the habit of drinking more water if you need to? That is definitely very relative to me. I know I need to drink more water, but I just can't get in the habit. So one habit, just always have it with you.
Yeah, basically that's very helpful. A lot of people like flavors in their water. It would be best to flavor your water with natural substances, either a slice of lemon or a slice of orange, or using some water infusers. If you're going to use some sort of ingredient to put in the water, I know Ida and I had looked at the difference between the Mio, is it Mio?
Mio, yeah.
Mio versus True Lemon. And the True Lemon little packets were better choice in terms of less chemicals and artificial ingredients compared to the Mio. And those are things that spending time looking at the labels and looking at the ingredients in the grocery store is really helpful and important, because it sounds good, it can taste good, but when you look at it, maybe it's not good from a preservative chemical point of view.
Beverly brought up a good question in the chat. She said, how does one drink enough water but not drink with meals?
All right, that's a really good question. I want to answer it in maybe 2 sections. I recommend eat your meals and don't eat snacks. If you eat your meals, whether it's 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day, and give your body some time, like an hour after the meal, to kind of get a lot of that digestion done. I try not to drink a lot with my meals, just because I believe it dilutes the digestive enzymes down and it makes the digestion go slower. So I drink enough or sip just so that my mouth stays moist and I know I'm able to chew and enjoy. But between meals, then I'm drinking more. And I keep a glass of water, one of my Tervises, at night in the bathroom, so that if I do get up at night, I can drink a little. And I have to play games, because if I drink too much, then I have to get up again. But keeping it with you, sipping, drinking throughout the day. I did buy one of these big 1-gallon water jugs with the little handle thing to be able to take it around easy with me. And it's amazing how challenging it can be to finish one of those in a day. But we just have to look to find those times between the meals where you've given your body time to digest, and now you can drink more. The other thing is, when you're eating whole food, a whole apple, a whole banana, a whole some grapes, whole vegetables, they are very full of water. And you can really see that when you juice them. It's amazing how much fluid comes out of these whole fresh vegetables and fruits if you juice them. So the concept is, you don't have to juice them to get the water. You can eat them whole, and as you are digesting them, they are releasing water through the digestion, which is also keeping you hydrated. I hope that helps.
Beverly asked too, I think a question in what you responded, drinking water at night, does it interrupt sleep like eating does?
It can. Sometimes if you drink too much in the middle of the night because your stomach is empty, it'll go through and filter through fast, and then in the next hour or two, you may have to get up to go to the bathroom. So I've had to, experiment a little, but there are times where if I wake up and it's like 4 or 5 o'clock, I may drink more water, because it's almost like a natural alarm clock. I know I'll have to get up in like an hour and a half, because I drank the water and it's time for me to get up. But I certainly don't recommend drinking most of your water at night. I think we can get it first thing in the morning. When you wake up, you get out of bed and you go to the bathroom, one of the first things you can be doing is drinking a good glass of water, and then to do that so that you can drink up until you would have your first meal, and then you can pause on the fluids, and then between the next meal you can drink more. You should be able to get in an adequate amount of fluid.
What was that tip you shared with me before? You make you boil your water and put some lemon in it or something like that in the morning?
water. We drink, we call it Cafe Blanca. It's
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
just hot water, and it's not scalding hot. I will have boiled it, but I'll add some room temperature water in it just to kind of take that very hot edge off, and it just kind of wakes up your GI system, and it helps stimulate elimination and digestion. So lemon is a really good um, um, fruit to flavor water. And even though it is acidic, it's sour, it's really an alkaline fruit, which is beneficial to our digestion as well.
So funny, what a coincidence. Beverly noted that she too drinks a glass of warm water about 1 hour before breakfast. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys have the same mind.
That's a very, very good habit. I think our bodies like that.
I want to ask the group if anyone has any good breakfast suggestions. I feel like a lot of breakfast items tend to be carb loaded or sweets, like, baked goods and such. Any good breakfast recommendations? And two-part question, is breakfast really the most important meal of the day?
Um, I would say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but I don't necessarily, uh, you know, agree that it is a time set meal. I mean, truly, the definition of breakfast is breaking your fast.
Mhm.
And most people will break their fast in the morning, but there are people who don't feel like eating right away, and they might want to break their fast or have breakfast mid morning or late morning. And there's a very effective therapeutic fasting that can be really good for treating medical conditions such as, weight loss, type 2 diabetes, where those of us who are overweight to obese can benefit from utilizing some fasting, which would mean delaying, eating or stopping eating earlier in the afternoon and not, it's like skipping a meal. So break fasting is important, but you can also benefit from some fasting, medically benefit depending on your health history.
And so when we do break fast, do you have any recommendations? Like, what would you eat up for a typical breakfast?
Well, I like to recommend beans for breakfast. Beans are very high fiber. They're a great source of protein. They're very satisfying. They are great on your blood sugar, so you won't have these carb crashes like if you eat the sweet rolls or the toast and jam kind of breakfast. Nut butters are good. Steel cut oats would be a good choice over rolled oats, which is better than quick oats. So trying to have as much fiber. If I have toast, I usually have nut butter on it, and I put chia seeds or flaxseed on it, and I usually have a fresh fruit like a banana or some berries that I put on it. And so whatever you have for any of your meals, try to boost the fiber content and the plant, increase the quantity of your plant food in all of your meals.
Mm-hmm.
So those will cause you to be more satisfied, for the meal to last longer, so you're not getting hungry a lot earlier than you normally would want to be eating.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? We have a registered dietitian here, and she's ready to answer all your nutritional questions. But and I understand it's hard to come up with questions on the spot. So you do have. I will quickly share my screen so I can show you our contacts information. Okay. So you have both Sean and I's email and phone numbers. So if a question does come up about nutrition or rest or anything to do with Creation Life or anything at all, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are here and happy to answer questions. We have a chat question.
And thanks for joining in tonight. I appreciate you guys coming. And hopefully, I want you to just keep in mind, think about if there are any new choices around rest and nutrition that you are interested to try to ponder and think about and implement in your life. So
absolutely. We'll be here Tuesday, sorry, Sean, Tuesday, 6:30, and we will do environment and activity. So that'll be a fun presentation.
all right. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, Sean.
Bye.